Okay, well, hello and welcome everyone. As you just saw, this session is being recorded. My name is Dr. Christina Bodemer, and I will be the moderator for this ADEIL conference session. I want to thank you for joining us for pre-pandemic, pandemic, and endemic iterations of an online global identity course. And I ask that you please help me welcome our presenters, Drs. Meg Milligan and Paige Paquette.
Well, thank you. I'm Meg Milligan. I'm professor of psychology at Troy University in Alabama, USA, licensed psychologist and an ADEIL board member and long-term member and proud supporter of the organization. I have over 25 years of college level teaching experience in the US, including online since 1999. And 6 years part-time in Malaysia. In fact, I'm due to go back there on November 1st. That's where I'll be spending most of November. I also organize and lead study abroad programs and work on research projects across disciplines and countries. So you can see I have quite an international focus, both in my background and the current work that I do. And Dr. Paquette will introduce herself later, since I do the first part of the presentation, and she'll take over. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Okay, is that visible to all?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, this presentation, we will describe an online course with the built-in study abroad programs to multiple destinations and modifications that were prompted due to COVID-19. During our presentation, we will briefly recap the history that led to designing an online course with these built-in study abroad components, and also describe impacts on this model due to the pandemic, our adjustments during our current endemic phase, and some new possibilities and opportunities for students in our post-pandemic endemic world. And we'll end by highlighting our latest iteration, which is an applied example we will launch in summer of 2023. And we call it T. Okay. These are our objectives during this presentation. And to start off, we need to define our terminology. What do we mean by globalization, global identity, intercultural competence, study abroad, pandemic, endemic? These are terms that we've all heard and we use, but whenever you're conducting a research study or presenting on these topics, you need to say what you mean by each of these terms, because there is no consensual agreement on what each one means. And you can write books on each, and their various meanings. By globalization, we mean a process whereby cultures influence one another and become more alike through trade, immigration, and ideas. And there is research that shows us that this globalization process is accelerating. Another way to look at that is our shrinking world. By global identity, we mean identifying with people around the world. Our intercultural competence is the ability to think and act in interculturally appropriate ways. These are all very general definitions, but still give you a sense of what each means and why each was important to our model, why we focus on these as key. We also, another one's not on there, but we use open educational resources And those are available online, free to use. And this is to try to move away from the traditional model of requiring students to buy a textbook. In our current age with the World Wide Web, that really isn't necessary. There are so many free, excellent professional resources out there that we find will do the front end work, and students will benefit from that. We can also make changes instead of waiting 5 years for the edition of the textbook to come out, that kind of thing. Study abroad, by that we mean some kind of semi-structured experience that is outside a person's accustomed culture. So this could be either within the US or beyond its borders. For our model, we've been looking beyond our borders, but either is possible, and we may have future iterations that focus on the US as well. And perhaps in line with what Rich was talking about in his opening remarks, I can see that occurring too. A pandemic is an infectious disease that is spread widely across a large region. And when we talk about COVID-19, that was a global pandemic, which hit everywhere. We have moved from the pandemic stage, where major areas of life were shut down and our lives were impacted significantly, to an endemic stage, which means regularly found in a certain area. So what we've learned is we couldn't kill it, so we have to live with it. That's where we are. Trying not to let it limit us tremendously, but it's still reality, right? Okay, the groundwork for all of this started in 2017. I went to Costa Rica. My chair sent me there, see about developing a study abroad program for my psychology department. That kind of innocent venture morphed into a more elaborate design involving many features, many stakeholders, and exciting prospects for future developments and applications. So it's really taken off from the idea of, yes, let's have more study abroad programs for our students, which are tremendously beneficial to them, to, well, there are other ways we can combine that with his other pedagogical techniques that we have at our disposal to have a combined model. So that's what we've been doing. And this is a visual of what we now call the pre-pandemic model of the Global Identity course. At the time, that's not what we called it, because we had no idea what lurked ahead. But looking back, yeah, that was before the pandemic hit. The full title of the course, the online course that forms the structure, is Global Identity: Connecting Your International Experience to Your Future. And I co-developed and taught this course in 2018 and 2019. And in 2019, I'm honored to say that this course, we won the college level course award from our esteemed ADEIL organization, for which I'm very grateful. And that also encouraged us to develop it further. You know, maybe we're headed in the right direction. It's a 9-week online course with an embedded study abroad component. It includes undergraduate students and graduate students. So we have 2 sections, but they share the same Canvas course site. And it's based on the idea that global identity and intercultural competence can be operationalized into measurable learning objectives, which then forms the structure of our course. It's a highly interactive and experiential learning-based course, both within and beyond it, as it expands to include non-US destinations, and more variety in the cultural encounters during the study abroad component. So let's see. And another aspect is, since the study abroad is embedded into the middle of the course, that allows students to share their post-abroad experiences in the online classroom setting to complete the course. And I think that's a tremendous strength of this. And it was a great model. We didn't expect we'd have to change it, but obviously we did. The major content areas that are worth noting, we have some quizzes just for some content knowledge checks, as it were. But the important things are the 3 reflection papers and weekly discussion, and then end of course audio video presentation that they do. The reflection papers are pre-departure, one upon return, where they select an aspect to compare and contrast between the US and whatever country they were in, and then an end of course reflection paper. The discussions are critical components. An example of a discussion question would be in the first week we ask, when is it appropriate to adopt the cultural behaviors and attitudes of the country you're visiting? In what specific situations do you think it's better to exhibit your native cultural behaviors or norms? Provide clear examples. This befuddles a lot of students because they're more likely to say, oh, we're going to blend, we're going to respect culture, we're going to be like everybody there, which is unrealistic. That's not the way human beings function. So it gives them, it forces them really to think about that, because they need to think more in depth and look at that from a more critical eye to see, well, in what situations might I behave like I do here, as opposed to just blending in to the culture they're going to. It also helps them prepare, which I think is tremendously important. Okay. The end of course audio video assignment is a final opportunity to share their particular growth and experience, and to describe applications to their future. So this is a very open assignment. I don't want to give too much structure to it, because I want them to, this is coming from each person, what they want to share, how they want to express themselves. And here is an example of one of these, which is kind of fun, and of course use with permission. Show you what first study brought. So I think some things that strike me when I watch that is the variety of experiences, which are tremendous, and new experiences. We happened to be there when a national football, aka soccer, game was played in in San Jose, and we got to get tickets and experience that, which was not really in the original schedule, but was a tremendous opportunity. So there's also an ability to be flexible and change things in the schedule beyond the structure that we have at the beginning. Anyway, another thing that strikes me is there are no masks. And that has changed. Okay, this is the pandemic model, and it's similar, but what happened was our programs in the scheduled program in 2020 was canceled, of course, which also meant the course was canceled because we had that mandatory study abroad component where you have to travel, and that's not possible. So we realized we have to include more virtual elements so that we could be flexible insofar as if you can go on the study abroad, that's great. But if you can't, we don't need to cancel a class, that we can do this virtually now with our more modern technology. So that's what we're working on. And that includes adding more, obviously more virtual content. We've incorporated content expert videos. The course focuses on various major aspects of culture. So now we have experts, many of them are from our university, who do short videos on the ecosystem or medical care in the US, or whatever their expertise that we're talking about in that particular module. Now we have those in addition to our other OER content. So I think that's been an improvement. We also added a WhatsApp group. So now when we have our class, even if we just have a class without travel, we can WhatsApp to connect to students at other universities. So our partner university in Costa Rica, UNIVE, so their students and our students can join in WhatsApp. And this year, since I also teach in Malaysia, I had many of our students in Malaysia also join WhatsApp. So they have a lot more intercultural exchanges. We reduced the reflection papers to 2 reflection papers. Now we have the pre and the post, or the beginning of the course and the end of the course. We also added a synchronous class, which turned out to be very successful. And with since most of it is asynchronous, it's online, we added a synchronous class connecting people in various time zones, trying to find a time that would work, would be agreeable to everyone, and then have a faculty leader and get connect with some other global experts in other countries and invite students from various locations to be part of the synchronous class. So we're thinking about adding more than just one to the most popular. And also a group audio video presentation with peers. So you can see we're expanding what we can do in the online part of the course. Also added peer review. So this is the evolution of our course. The endemic model, now we need to be even more flexible because sometimes we can go, sometimes we can't. So we're continuing to add videos. When I was in Costa Rica this year, I shot some videos that now we can include to be have more real world virtual content. And we have ideas that Paige will talk about later, but other ways to add add more real life virtual content that we can shoot ourselves. There are some limitations. Certainly some tours you have to pay for. If you want to do a museum tour, that costs extra. So we're trying to keep the costs low and do as much as we can ourselves with people who give us permission to use their material. Group projects across countries, adding additional synchronous classes, and focus more on service learning. And we're doing that in 2023 as well, that there are service learning opportunities in some of not only the university, because as you saw in the video, we did a poster presentation at a university in Costa Rica, developed it here before we left, did one there. And so that was also an excellent opportunity for students to build their resume and do more work that's meaningful and helpful to their futures. Okay, these are photos. Okay, watching the time here. These are some photos that we took in Costa Rica. It's a beautiful country, a lot of biodiversity, and so it's amazing. These are from the National Museum, and also we spent a day at an indigenous reserve to find out more about indigenous culture and their lives are like and what their approach is to life, spiritual, mental and physical health, and how communities are structured. And that's very meaningful as well. The shaman conducts that, the tribe shaman, and did a purification ritual for us, which was very powerful. They also have this classroom, some training. On the right, you see a picture of one of our students being interviewed for a marketing piece about our study abroad program that UNIVE produced. They did the whole project. We were interviewed. They put this together to highlight what we did on our study abroad. One reason they chose us is that we were the first study abroad group, to go back to Costa Rica after the pandemic. So this is a very proud moment for all of us. And I can show you what the end result was and give you kind of an overview of what the program looks like. This is in a classroom, so this is in a lower SES immigrant section outside of San Jose, and talk about what they do there.
Meg, the other video didn't have any sound, so I'm afraid this one might. We couldn't hear the sound on the other one, so I'm afraid.
Okay, tech people, what do I do about that?
There might have to. Let me see if I can take a look at the settings real quick.
Yeah, it's funny because we tested on our own laptops; they work fine. And yeah, that's a problem.
This one has more you really need to hear in it. That's what I was. The other one you could see, it was mostly see, but this one's here. So I wanted to.
Oh, I had dramatic music. Yeah. That's always a problem. I don't know how to really test them because you pull it up and it works perfectly.
Yeah, I'm trying to find or pull up the setting real quick. I might not be able to switch it mid-meeting though.
Sometimes if you share screen instead of sharing the presentation, sometimes that works. Cole, I don't know if that would be an option.
Is there somewhere when you share it, if Meg, if you unshare the screen and go to share it again, is there somewhere that you can click that says share sound to?
I think I've tried this before and it doesn't work for me.
If you select share screen,
I'm
then
looking
is
at-
it before you hit share?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing there but a bunch of thumbnails, and you click on
Right.
a thumbnail, and that's all it is. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a button to click that said share me down to.
No, you've done this before too. Okay.
I'm looking through the advanced sharing
Oh,
options. I'm not
advanced
seeing anything.
computer audio? No. Let's see, the computer audio. It just says mono or stereo
Yeah, okay.
for advanced settings. It doesn't-
Well,
I mean, seriously, how do we address it? It's a very basic issue. And
Yeah, I apologize, Meg. I did not know that we would be doing a video where I would have done a little more research into it. The Zoom settings, I think it might also be on a person's personal settings too, is what I'm seeing in researching on the Zoom website. So it might have to be something we would change on your account as well.
well, the trouble is I don't have an account. They took our accounts. Cost saving, I think. So yeah, I know I used to be able to go in and manage settings. Now I
we can
can't.
try and start it and see if we can hear it, but we couldn't hear the other one.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that, Meg.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's not okay. Anyway, it is what it is. Can you hear anything?
No.
Well, yeah. Well, that's pointless then. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, well, Paige.
I'll take it from here. So I am Dr. Paige Paquette, and I am in the teacher education, Department of Teacher Education at Troy University. So Meg and I are both in the College of Ed. We're just in the separate parts. And I've been an educator for almost 27 years now. And for the last 20 years, I've been at Troy that I've been teaching online. So, so distance learning is something I'm very comfortable with, sometimes more comfortable probably than teaching in person. And a few years ago in 2018, I started a program called Troy at Work. And that allows teachers to be able to get higher degrees, earn higher degrees without having to change their whole lifestyle. I've learned a lot about working with elementary teachers. I'm more of a secondary person, but I've learned how busy they are, how even during their day, they don't have time to even take breaks or run to the restroom or anything. So the program helps them be able to schedule college around their life schedule rather than having to alter their lives. And so about that same time, Meg and I started having conversations because I realized that teachers that are doing a one-year master's program, they don't see where they have time to go on a study abroad and pay for that, in addition to already teaching, going to school. And so as we started doing some research and writing the paper, I found that there are words in the standards, both state and national, that say, that have used words like cultural responsitivity, sensitivity to diversity, knowledge about diverse cultures, learners' global interactions, global perspectives, and interconnectedness in the global community. And I suddenly found myself perplexed because I thought, if the universities don't give these teachers and educators these opportunities, and they don't give them in their school system, how are they supposed to meet all of these different standards? And I never expected the pandemic to be the answer to what Meg and I had started talking about this opportunity for some educators to have a study abroad experience, but never leave home. And so that the pandemic just landed right into that conversation that we were already having about how to make this possible. And so obviously we would love to have our students go on a study abroad opportunity, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. But we want them to have those global experiences. And so that's what Meg was speaking about earlier, is where we can create a class where they can have a very global experience and never leave their homes. And so that's where we're working on that. But we also have had another opportunity come up through this. And this is what we were talking about. She mentioned earlier about T. And so T stands for Troy Educators Abroad. And we really feel that this is an opportunity for educators to, in person, go and meet these standards that they are set before them that they can't meet otherwise. And so we are super excited because we are piloting T this summer with a group of educators. There's going to be 7, and it's from a school system here that is a little more rural. And so it has a lot of the teachers really have not had experiences to travel because they've gone to our university, which is right here, and they haven't really gone a lot of other places. And so we have traveling with us, we have the superintendent of the school system. We have 2 administrators that are on the higher administration level. We're taking a principal, a middle school principal, and we're also going to have 3 teachers. So we're covering just about every aspect of the school system. And so we are super excited about that. And it was really great. The superintendent understands the importance of her educators getting this global experience and this intercultural opportunity. And so she created her own selection process and had all of the teachers, the educators who want to go just write an essay about why they want to travel, why they want to go on this opportunity, and what value they think it will be for them. We've taken the traditional study abroad approach and we're offering it to our educators. And so these educators will be required to take the global identity course, and they will complete the reflections that Meg was talking about in our endemic model. And so it's going to be a really great opportunity for them to develop some intercultural competency and to better understand what life is like in another educational background and setting. And so we are so excited about this. The superintendent is thrilled, and that's what you want, is to have somebody that is as a matter of fact, she's using professional development money to allow the teachers or the educators to go for free. All they have to do is pick up little bits and pieces here and there along the way. And so she believes this is such an important experience that she's using the professional development money to pay for it. We are excited because this is an excellent research opportunity, because we will have reflections that they've written about what they believe is going to be important about this trip, what they want to get out of it, what they expect. And then when they come home, they're required to also write a reflection about what all they experienced there. So there's some very rich data that we will get from this. And so we're excited about that. We're also excited about other research opportunities and those travelers projects that Meg mentioned earlier. And we're really hoping, while we don't want to influence what they do, we're really hoping that these projects, because they're going to be done by professional educators, will be something that we can incorporate into the more virtual experience of the study abroad program. So ultimately, the way we have to sell anything right in education is there are some great benefits for our university through this. It's an opportunity for us to recruit and to get some. I mean, I keep telling my dean that if you give me 10 days in another country with some educators, they'll come back and they'll be doing something. They'll be getting a higher degree. And so it's offering us an opportunity to increase the student participation in the Education 5590 class, the global identity class, because each of these educators is going to take a specially created 1-hour course. They won't be taking a full 3-hour course, but it will be a 1-hour course that they'll be expected to take and complete before we go. And obviously that helps our administrators and our college see some dollar signs coming up. It also helps us to have just one-on-one time to talk to them about what are your goals? What are your dreams? Do you need a master's degree? We'll help you get that. Do you need a specialist degree? We'll help you get that. And in just the last few years, Troy has created a global leadership doctoral program. And so this is an opportunity that PhD candidates have to be involved in leadership around the globe. They've had a trip to London already. They're getting ready to take a trip to South Africa. So even in the midst of their academic studying, and it's rigorous, I've heard from several of them, it's quite rigorous, but they also have an opportunity to travel and experience global leadership in many different countries and in opportunities there. So we are just super excited about all of the opportunities that we only dreamed of BC before COVID. And we're actually have those opportunities are becoming real to us. And we're excited that next year we can tell you all about how the experience went. And so, you know, as Meg and I were talking about this presentation, I told her, I said, I feel like my daddy's always told me that things are all about relationships. Everything is about a relationship. And we've learned that that really holds true in a vibrant study abroad program as well. From relationships with administration, colleagues, and students at our universities to relationships with people at universities abroad, they all make a difference. It's having the relationships with the school systems like we have with this school system that's entrusting us not only with their finances, but with their most valuable possessions, their educators. Those make a difference. It's the smiles and the individual attention that help students know that they can make this work in their busy schedules. And it's the handshakes between colleagues who work countries apart that allow students to have a better understanding of the world in which they live. So it truly is all about relationships. And we are so interested and always looking for new destinations to explore, partnerships for study abroad, and for internship opportunities. So please feel free to contact us. I believe, Meg, our information is on a slide.
No, I don't think it is, actually.
Is it not there?
No, this has
But you'll have our information in other places. So if you would like to participate or just talk to us a little bit more, we'd be glad to share more and communicate with you about that.
Yes. So are there any questions? Yeah. Comments, input, suggestions?
I did want to mention real quickly, Meg, I think I figured out our sound issue. If you want to give sharing that video one more shot, if you'd rather just keep going and do Q&A, I'm good with that as well, whatever your preference is.
If we can.
Yeah, we have 7 more minutes.
Problems, you know, we tend to have. Just,
okay.
Was it anything that I could handle in future? I'm just wondering about future presentations.
Yes, no. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen, if you would, please.
Okay. Okay.
And then I'm going to have you share your
come on.
screen again, please.
I'm gonna go take a quick walk, shower, and then go to PT.
All right.
Got the groceries done, except for a couple things.
And then
Okay,
when you pull up that share screen box, there's 2 things. Number 1, you'll want to make sure you're sharing a monitor as opposed to a program. And then there's also one more little box down in the corner that should say share sound with users.
Okay, I see the share sound. Where's the share monitor?
So you should have an option to either share programs or share a monitor or something like that. So instead of sharing a program, can you just share your screen itself?
Yeah, I mean, it's on share screen.
Okay, as long as that share sound,
there
you go. That's the one. Yeah. That's the ticket. And that's why I couldn't switch it on for you on my end, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that again, but that should do the trick.
They need to make that huge. It's important.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see if this will work now.
I think the Endemic programs are exceptional.
Troy University and UNIVI has a long history of successful collaborations that have benefited our students tremendously.
I have had a great experience during this time. We have visited many cultural and historical sites. We have also been to a social service agency. We have been to an indigenous reserve. We have been to various tourist sites. And overall, it's been a very meaningful experience here through the university program.
I think the UNIVI program is great. I've learned a lot since I've been here, and I've enjoyed my time being here. I've also enjoyed all of the lectures and the visits to the hospital and the neighborhoods and schools that we've done.
I strongly believe that this experience has made a difference in my personal life as well as professional. I got to experience interaction with students who are dealing with issues that most of us normally don't deal with on a daily basis, and yet through it all, they still find a way to smile through it.
Definitely, I would definitely recommend this program to other students, especially graduate students. I think that they would benefit a little bit more than undergrad, because already working in a profession, I think that this exposes you to other genres or other areas throughout the career that I think this abroad program offers.
Educational component of the program was important. I would have to say the thing I liked the most was Manuel Antonio, the natural reserve, the natural park, and the views you have from there. But also the volcano Poás was very interesting.
I think I'd like to show that because it was a great opportunity for our students to participate in a professional media production that was unanticipated. They just said, we'd like to interview you. So I think here again, the serendipitous opportunities are invaluable as well. So you don't really know what you're going to experience, what students are going to be able to gain that they might not have otherwise. That's just another example of what they were able to do, and then they're very proud that they contributed, and now that's a media piece that's being used. So it's everywhere. So thank you. Sorry for not putting our email. Our email is pretty simple. It's mmilligan@troy.edu and p.paquette@troy.edu. So feel free to keep in touch. Thank you.
Okay.
One question.
Yep, go ahead.
Right. For Meg, actually for both of you, but I may have missed something, but how much Spanish do you have to know before going to Costa Rica?
Oh,
the
great.
students.
Glad you asked. They don't need any Spanish. So it runs the gamut. We have students who are fluent. We have students who don't know anything, and that's fine. In fact, the first thing that's going to happen next year is we get a Spanish fluency test. And I think most of our students will not do well, and that's fine. There's no stigma attached to that, but it does give an opportunity to try to learn a little Spanish, use it while you're there, also deal with the local currency. And so, yeah, so it's a lot of it's really eye-opening for many of these students. Some of whom have never traveled outside of the state, never been on a plane, all the way up through, retired military who've done a lot. when they're quite comfortable. So it really runs the gamut, but there are no limitations due to language fluency. But yeah,
Meg, there was one more quick question because I know our time's just about up, but what do your students think about the online addition to your programs? I guess the class that they're taking prior to going on the trip.
So you're asking me?
That was a question in the chat. Yes.
Question in the chat. I've gotten very positive feedback. Yes, they really do appreciate it. And some students take it as a standalone course. It's a variable credit, 1 to 3 credits, so you can take it for 1, 2, or 3 credits. It generally is taken as an elective in a degree program. This is easy for undergraduates, and there are some graduate programs that can also take the graduate portion. But yeah, very, very positive feedback, which keeps us going to keep offering it, and we'll be offering it again next year, just before the study abroad.
All right, excellent. Any other questions? And good, I see their email addresses in the chat, should you need them. All right, well, thank you to both Meg and Paige for your presentation, and thank you to each of you for attending. I did put in the chat the conference evaluation, if you wouldn't mind completing that. And I just want to say thank you for attending. And again, thank you to Meg and Paige. And I hope you all have a great rest of your ADEIL conference.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.